Okay, so third time lucky, guys. Welcome to the podcast, episode 4. More importantly, we appreciate everyone who's taken the patience to tune back in and listen to us. So there has been a few sort of updates. Oh, just go double check the audio. 2 seconds. Okay, we're just double checking the audio's there. We're a bit paranoid. Audio seems to be fine. So fantastic. We've got a few points to discuss, but more importantly, thank you to those who are tuning back in. We've had a few technical issues today with YouTube, and we've managed to get them resolved with the help of a few technical good people out there. So thank you very much. So topics of discussion for tonight. We've got a couple of really interesting ones we want to kind of touch on. Which is basically Adeptus Sororitas. We want to kind of give a part 2 update. There's been a lot of changes that has kind of happened to them over the last week since our last podcast. The rumour mill of square bases. Oh boy, do we have some opinions on that one. And Psychic Awakening. There's been a lot of new additions to Psychic Awakening for Chaos, Black Templars, and we've got a good mix of people around the table to kind of discuss those sort of points. Obviously, guys, as well, if you've got any questions throughout the podcast, there is the chat section to the side of the video, or up or down, wherever it is on your screen. Post any questions you want in there, guys. We'll get a chance to get back to them and answer them, either it being any of the topics we're discussing, or just questions in general for us here at the channel. Feel free to reach out. So they're the discussion points. We're going to kick off and welcome the guests who are on with me today. So, as you know, I'm your host. We're welcomed today by Ross and Stuart. Guys, if you'd like to say hello.
Hello, Stuart, don't scream down the mic. You've done it twice now.
Hello!
Every time.
So yeah, Stuart, you've made yourself known. Thank you very much for joining us.
That was for Rob's sake, since he's driving.
Yeah, so Rob sadly can't be with us today, but Rob is actually listening in. Guys, if you miss Rob, apologies. It's a Scottish-only podcast today. That's just how it's going to be. So anyway, guys, we're going to crack off. We're going to talk about the first topic, which is going to be Psychic Awakening. And there's been a couple of new additions, which we've now seen for Chaos, for Loyalists. And we kind of want to go around the table and give you your thoughts. And I'm really keen to actually start with Ross. Ross is probably, as you know, our heaviest sort of Chaos player on the channel. So Ross, tell us a little about what you think about the updates. Good, bad, things are missing perhaps.
So just to see why we decided to start with this one, Godbody Jutoso, I can't pronounce that, has been screaming Chaos all down the chat, and because of their obviously love for Chaos, we're going to talk about Chaos first, and why not, because Chaos is awesome. So just to remind you guys, if you are interested, speak in the chat and we'll obviously try and read it and speak about what you're chatting about. In terms of Chaos, right, so we just got an update several hours ago in terms of what we're seeing in Chaos with this Psychic Awakening. And so there's some interesting stuff. It's really working to try and consolidate the idea of supplements into one book, which is not as ideal as what Space Marines are getting. They get separate books with a whole bunch of lore and stuff. But maybe having this condensed book is actually making it a bit easier for ourselves. But the problems are, and this is the fundamental issue for Chaos, is twofold in this one. One, they are not changing the Legion rules like they did for Space Marines, making them larger and better, as one of the first codexes, they're a bit underwhelming. And two, unlike Space Marines, vehicles and other things, it's basically still only Demon Princes and infantry and dreadnoughts that are getting Legion rules. So it's that sort of core base of your army isn't being addressed, and that is a huge, huge weakness. World Eaters all day, yep. And it's a huge flaw to not address Legion traits, because I think they've become so fundamental in how armies work and the feel of your army, and it just lets Chaos, it seems to be they're getting this expansion, but they're getting left behind, which is a little bit disconcerting. But it's good nonetheless that they are getting extra stuff. You are getting demon weapons, which I was a big sort of push for. I wanted more options of demon weapons, high power relics with a little bit of a drawback as well. What I've seen so far hasn't totally impressed me, but I see potential in them, and I'd like to see a few more. Couple of nice stratagems on there as well, which is good. I've not seen them all yet, but generally, I mean, I see the Siege Master one, which I think actually came in Vigilus, but is really good for Iron Warriors. There's this fundamental side of Chaos that, quite frankly, and I think I said this last time, the book just needs to be redone. And it needs to be redone like the Space Marine one, and the same thing needs to be done with Death Guard and probably Grey Knights. And you'll get a lot more out of them. Rather than adding on rules, you need to fix the base of them. Yeah, it's nice to have extra stuff, but I just love Chaos so much.
So by the sound of the tone already straight away, I sound that you're not that impressed then with the sort of additions that Chaos seem to be getting, and there's quite a lot of additions, but you don't seem to be too impressed by it. Is that fair to say?
No, I mean, if I was to be brutally honest, it's one of the beginning codexes, which were Chaos, Death Guard, Grey Knights, probably Astra Militarum as well. I think, Admech. They were all the beginning ones, which they were kind of written before 8th edition, I think, really came out. I'd love to see them all redone and just updated, and just with a little bit more. They did such a good job of updating Space Marines, really brought a new bit of competitiveness to them. They really need to do it with all of them before they add on more rules. They should just start from the base again. So I'm not impressed, but it's nice to have.
Just to quickly point out, I know obviously Two School for Cool has joined us, so welcome back to the podcast. I just want to point out, I'm going to try and make sure Ross does not discuss Adeptus Custodes in this podcast today, because I think Ross will probably want to discuss it for ages, and I know you two have been having your own sort of discussions via the battle report chats. So sorry, Two School for Cool, no Custodes today. Sorry about that, buddy.
Just to say, on someone discussing rumour of the 2-wound Plague Marines and stuff like that, 2 wounds to sort of cult units, I have heard it, but I'm very dubious on it. I think Plagues might get 2 wounds, but I don't see it happening for things like World Eaters, for Corn Berserkers. I just don't think it's... Sorry, Two School for Cool. But I just don't see it happening for the other ones. But I could be wrong. It would be great to have 2 wounds on the cult units, but it seems like an odd one, except for Plague Marines. Makes perfect sense.
Fair enough. Okay,
so
Ross.
That's a big rumour.
Appreciate that. We'll maybe come back to you in just a minute. Stuart, I'm going to leave you last if you don't mind, because obviously Chaos...
Me?
Yes, you need to wait your turn.
The host with the most?
The host has the power. I will shut you down. So Stuart, so you're basically the loyalist, so you've not really had a chance to look at Chaos too much. I mean, we want to kind of stick with the Chaos theme, but you've got a really important part to come to in a moment, which we'll get to. So I'm going to add just a couple of wee quick points in as we were on the Chaos sort of gravy train. I kind of agree with Ross in the way that I feel it's not enough for Chaos Space Marines. They do need a redo of their codex, which is entirely needed, because we seem to be tagging on more and more rules as we go. However, I actually am quite impressed with some of the additions. For example, the sort of relics. I quite like the relics, because it's adding more flavour to your sort of individual characters that you're giving marks to. Like, for example, the first one just straight off the bat, Golak's Fist of Decay. I know some people may not rate it, but I actually really do rate it. Because you're basically getting what I'm assuming is a Power Fist without the D3 damage, and I rate any Power Fist that you're getting 3 damage, and it is ×2 strength, always wound on a 2+, or any unmodified wound of a 2+, always successful. That's a Power Fist at 3 damage. Sure, I don't think there's enough Power Fists in 40k, so whenever I see the opportunity to make Power Fists better, I'm immediately going to give it 2 thumbs up. Disagree with me there, guys, in the chat if you think I'm supporting Power Fist too much, but yeah, I like that one. Other than that, though, to go kind of take a wee downer, I do still think there's not enough in there, and I think I said in the last podcast, I get very worried when they start chucking all these new rules and additions, because it's just giving you more paperwork. It's just giving you more stuff to kind of stay on top of, when really it should all be in the codex to begin with. But that's my sort of opinion on that one there. Helldrakes also need to be redone, Louise is saying, or Rob is saying. Louise is saying that on Rob's behalf. I fully agree, and I think Ross might support me in this one. Helldrakes do need to be redone, and that's probably a discussion or a new podcast on its own. However, Helldrakes do have their place in the battlefield. They can just shut down units. And not to say that we're trying to bring 2 Helldrakes to our Chaos Force, but Ross, what are we trying to do?
Oh, well, I'm painting in our Helldrake. I think we're straying onto the area, or we're going to discuss the Chaos Space Marine Codex,
Exactly.
which we could have another one in itself. Let's try and stay on the actual Psychic Awakening one.
So, moving on, I think it's important we now bring Stuart into the discussion. To give a bit of context, Stuart, you can see from the picture in the podcast, you're very much a Black Templars player. You like Black Templars?
I do love Black Templars, yeah.
So, what's your thoughts on the sort of Black Templar addition to Psychic Awakening? And just be honest and give your thoughts.
I mean, it has been ages since I've actually played Black Templars, because I think when I first played them, they were absolutely amazing. They were good to play. Like, they were well at the time. They were highly suggested to play, and then they just became kind of just forgotten about and not very well updated. This one, I'm interested. It's bringing me back. I'm more disappointed. Well, I know we're going to talk about the models and all that in a wee bit, but like rules wise, I'm kind of intrigued. Like High Marshal Herbrick looks pretty awesome, but just from what the rules that we've just currently seen, very much just a couple of bolt guns that just run in power swords all the way and just start mauling people. But I think it was me and Ross were talking about it. What was it? It was the shock and awe tactic. With the Landleader Crusader and stuff, it's like, you can. Was it? You can't fire Overwatch, is it? At selected units when resolving attack made against the unit, subtract 1 from the hit roll. I was like, that one's a pretty interesting one as well. I thought it was cool, but that one was that the one be at the end of the assault phase. You can use that one. That goes well with it.
So, I mean, there's a lot of interesting ones. I think with sort of Black Templars, it's going to be a very different way to play Space Marines that are not like Blood Angels or Space Wolves. It's a very much... Now, I know you can make your own custom Legion and everything.
It's all melee.
Black Templars are so different in terms of they have a lot of special characters and they have their own troop choice, assuming it's still there, which I think I'm 90% sure it still is. I can't remember what the troop choice is called, but it's like the initiates and everything.
Yeah, aye.
And it's just going to be... Well, the danger is they've got their doctrine is like their one that activates is in the assault doctrine, and that's really hard to pull off.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to wait till turn 3 for their big sort of ability. They need to have a stratagem that can get you there quicker. If they do, it's going to make a big difference for them. I think their stratagems are really going to decide them heavily. I think it's really going to work to their lore and strengths and how that unit, the troop unit, works. And we might see something very, very different for Space Marine.
I mean, I just think they're really interesting because it's basically they're heavy melee. Most of their units, if you're not using them for melee, you're pretty much like, why are you using Black Temple? You may as well use like Imperial Fist or something and just use all.
Exactly.
I mean, was it the Righteous Zeal? Was it the 5 up? Basically, even a mortal wound, you can negate a mortal wound as well, and stuff like that. So they can take quite a hefty amount of hits when they can.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I'm interested. I'm interested to see what they're going to. I'm interested to see all the rules. I want to see them all just to see how. Like the one I'm more interested in is the Emperor's Champion. I want to see how he's utilized and how the rules are going to be changed for him. See if he's like going to be either really overpowered, or if he's just going to be utterly crap and no one's going to use him.
So Stuart,
if I was to, all right, sorry, Karen, David.
So Stuart, just on that point, what's your feelings about no new model potentially for the Emperor's Champion?
That one, I think that one's a bit stupid because if I remember the lore, that a spaceman gets a vision of the Emperor and is basically chosen to be the Emperor's Champion. So technically, the Primaris could have a vision of the Emperor and get. Well, they couldn't take the armor. Essentially, they'd have to make other armor for the champion. But he could take like the sword and stuff like that. He could totally do it, which I would say is a bit disappointing because that one I would say easily they could make a Primaris model for him. Hellbrecht. You can't change him. And Grimaldus, well, everyone's very specific characters. I think bar everyone else couldn't really be changed, bar the Emperor's Champion, and well, your initiates you could have like Primaris initiates and all that very easily. But again, it's like that's then like buying them and stuff. That's a lot of money, because like even the Black Templar ones, they're very special. They're like very specific models you're buying for them as well.
Ross, sorry to interrupt you. You're making a point there as well, bud.
So yeah, two things in that one is what I'd say, and this is sort of hinting to what we're going to discuss in a minute. If I see where, Chaos Space Marines, I've been a bit disappointed from what I've seen. Black Templars, I need to see more to decide. And then if I say with, Sisters of Battle, I am very excited from what I've seen. So I'm getting this sort of, between the three sort of releases that are coming out this weekend, what we've seen, we've got one that I'm disappointed, one that I need to see more, being Black Templar, and then one I really am very interested in because it's looking excellent. But when it comes to Black Templars, and probably I would say Space Wolves and Blood Angels as well, especially, armies that, and the Space Marine ones, that specialise in this sort of combat aspects, Primaris don't really have the units that back it up, which I'm a bit disappointed by. We really, it'd be really cool to have like a Crusader squad made of Primaris. I don't know if Black Templars actually like Primaris. I could be like Dark Angels. I could be wrong in that one.
Yeah.
But it'd be really nice to have we need to see dedicated units of Primaris, and having a Crusader squad along with maybe a Primaris hero would have been crazy and pretty cool.
Primaris squad that can basically negate mortal wounds. That's kind of scary.
Yeah, I mean, it's the mortal wounds thing is, I think it's designed to sort of, if someone uses a lot of smites, it's going to try and stop them. But I think that would have been, if there was the first sort of dedicated combat one, then that would have been really interesting. I'm dying to see a dedicated combat Primaris unit. And I think if they had the option of a Primaris and a non-Primaris Emperor's Champion, that would have been cool as well.
Yeah, because that means you can chop and change. But the Primaris Emperor's Champion would make sense in a way. It would make sense lore-wise, I would say, if Black Templars are bringing Primaris into their chapter, which would be fair enough. But like what was I? And including Psychers, well, they're all Psychers with their smite and stuff like that. They're basically going to negate Psychers pretty quickly because it's the Epitome of Piety. Is that what it is? Epitome of Piety. The one was that you can do a deny the witch test the same way that someone rolls for their psychic test.
So you don't have to beat the psychic test like you normally would. You can draw with it and still deny it. So it gives you sort of equal chance. So Stuart, really quickly, there's a question just came in from you from none other than Duke Silver himself. Helbrecht or Grimaldus?
That's not cool.
What? Do you mean that's not cool? You wait because you're forced to decide.
Grimaldus is awesome because he can. Oh, sorry. He was within Hell's Reach. He was the defense of Hell's Reach. It was amazing. Also, read that book. I would go with Grimaldus. Okay,
so Grimaldus it is then. And then another.
I don't know much on Grimaldus, but I actually know a wee bit on Helbrecht because he's had some epic, fights. He took on Imatech of the Necron Lords. He lost, and Imatech took his hand for Helbrecht, and Helbrecht went on a huge crusade to take out Imatech. He eventually got him, but Imatech teleported away, and in his rage he destroyed Imatech's prize ship, and Imatech was like, I don't care. But Helbrecht's got some cool stuff on him as well, but I hear Grimaldus has got some crazy storylines as well.
Yeah. Stuart, really quickly, if you were to given the option though of updating one of the two models, which one would it be? Obviously you've said Grimaldus is your favourite, but which one would you want to update? In fact, you know what? Chuck a third one in there. Emperor's Champion. Which one would you want to see updated?
What Emperor's Champion would be? No, I'd like an updated version. I would like one of them.
Stuart, you can be greedy like me as well. Whenever I play Thousand Suns, I always play Magnus because I'm greedy. You can be greedy and just choose all three if you want.
I mean, Emperor's Champion's an easy one. I would say I would actually like a version of High Marshal Helbrecht and Grimalvis. I would like a good update of them because they would look. I think they look really good with a good update, like model wise as well. Model wise.
Okay, perfect. Love it. Wee icebreaker here, guys, just really quickly, because I've noticed a really nice question in the chat. Totally unrelated, but I really want to answer this, and I want everyone to answer it too. Does anyone here actually like Lorgar?
No. Definitively from Ross. Well, I've not actually read a book with Lorgar in it, so I've not got really a taste of what he does. But I'm really passionate about just about every other Chaos traitor bar Lorgar, so maybe I need to give him a chance.
Okay.
Good answer, to be honest.
Right, so basically political yes and no. You don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. Stuart,
Right on that fence.
Right,
on that fence.
Stuart, what do you
remain
think?
neutral. Oh, I don't know. I think he's all right.
Okay. I'll take that as your answer.
Pushy religious.
He's all right. I'm going to be honest. I love Lorgar.
Really?
I think he's absolutely brilliant. Yeah. Of course.
Explain.
Well, he's going to keep it very PC here, but he's a pain in the ass, and I like characters that are pains in the ass in the 40k universe. So sure, love him. Fantastic. He's a bro, and his legion's fantastic too. They're absolutely. If it wasn't for them and his legion, would we really have some awesome looking? What are they called again? That's terrible. Possessed.
You wouldn't have.
Oh yes.
Some of those possessed models in 30k are some of the best looking models ever, and by proxy, I'll have a Lorgar to thank. I guess I should actually be thanking Erebus, shouldn't I? Either way, to answer your question, we've got 2 resounding no's or maybes, and you've got 100% thumbs up. Hell yes.
I like the ship.
Duke Silver answered it well. His legion is cooler than him.
I don't disagree, Duke. You're totally right. His legion is cooler than him.
I will agree with that. Yeah, I like the ship in what book was it? For the Horus Heresy, where they made a giant ship.
The Abyss.
The Admech make for him. Aye, I like that. Like that was pretty cool for him. But Lorgar, just a snake.
Okay, so I wish I put up a poll now or something like that to get a gauge on that. You know, I think I'm going to put up a poll on our Facebook page just to find out, and I bet everyone's going to say they hate him, but no, I'm going to get an auto clicker or something, and I'll just keep clicking yes, yeah, upvote him. Right, guys. So I think we don't want to give too much away about Psychic Awakening because obviously you're going to get your pre-orders in over the weekend, and everyone will get a chance to have a look at the book themselves when that comes. But yeah, more importantly, guys, we're going to move on a little bit on to sort of another topic, which is really looking at part 2, I guess, of Adeptus Sororitas. So last week's podcast, we kind of gave you our opinions and thoughts about what we know so far, what GW has kindly released to everyone. And now that we've kind of got more information, it's what do we think? Do we think what the art models they've released look incredible? Do we think what the hinted rules they've released look really good? Or is everyone just completely against it and think it'll just be as bad as the beta codex? Although some did like it. I personally didn't. So Ross, open the floor up to yourself, buddy. Tell us your thoughts. Share with everyone.
So I think you can probably tell from last week's podcast when we discussed, Adeptus Sororitas, I wasn't that excited. I was like, yeah, sure, it'll be pretty cool. Now that I've seen the rules that they've shown us, I am absolutely 100% behind them. Not because, and also that flying unit that has the pulpit and everything, awesome, 100% behind it. I just think it's a very different army that is, again, like what I say, Chaos, it's starting from the ground up. They know the weaknesses in the rules from the beta, and they're redoing it from start and from scratch and building the rules to make sure that they're more balanced and more capable army. And I think they hopefully really listened to people and tried some new and different things. So I'm genuinely excited. That model, so the models that I saw that are amazing. The visor one with the sort of Ant-Man visor coming down, sold. That one model, I was like, very cool. And the pulpit one, awesome. Absolutely loving it. And from the rules I've seen, absolutely excellent. I think there's one that allows, when you advance, it can fire ranged weapons if it moved without advancing. Excellent. Excellent. I'm genuinely very excited to see how this army as a whole works.
Tell me a little bit about the. So you mentioned one of the models there, the flying pulpit, I guess, is its by proxy name. The model so far.
Junith Urita, I think. Yep, I could be pronouncing that wrong. It's a special character's name. Yeah, Junith Urita.
Okay, yep. So what's your thoughts though on the model? Because I'm not going to lie, it's pretty unique and stands out.
It's very unique and stands out. I just think it's very cool. Khmer, which is very strange. They had a very much a pulpit on wheels. The skeletons holding the flamers underneath it. Yeah, I'm very interested to see how it works. I imagine it's going to be a buff character with flamers, but I genuinely don't know. It looks different. It looks cool. I'm sold.
Is it actually flamers? I thought it was meltas.
It's heavy flamers, I believe they do mention. I
Right,
could
okay.
be wrong on that, but I think it's heavy flamers.
Well, I hope they can swap them out for meltas because I'd like that. But yeah, the model looks absolutely incredible. Stuart, what's your kind of thoughts on what you've seen as the... I'm going to keep saying Adeptus Sororitas, guys, because I kind of want to get it right, but...
I agree with you. I'm going to say Sister Bal sometimes, but I agree with you. That's the way we should address it. That's the correct name.
So what do you think?
I think it's just me. Asher Militarm, I call them Imperial Guard. Adeptus Sororitas, I call them the Sisters of Battle. It's just how I am. I'm
Stuart,
old school, so that's
you're going to open up a massive can of worms with that Imperial Guard chat. All right.
I'm going to open up my head.
But yeah, what's your thoughts on the new model ranges you've seen? Because they look kind of...
I think they look really cool. I think it's definitely very... what was I saying? Like very not religious in a sense, like the way they've been portrayed. But
they're very religious, Stuart.
Yeah, very, very creepy type of cult. The cult type of religious sort of style. But I think they look really good. I think it's really cool. I think it's about time they all got kind of updated. It's been quite. I'm not too sure how long it's been since they actually really got a big update for themselves. But I think it's time to finally bring the Sisters of Battle into the fold. See how. Well, from what some of the rules I saw, their face and their litanies look really scary. Like they basically look like they're all walking tanks. Like you're not going to be able to hit them. They're just going to be walking and knocking off the bullets all the time.
So, just going to quickly break that up there, Stuart. Appreciate your feedback there, man. Louise just asked, and it's kind of a question kind of posed to Ross, I guess. What's your thoughts on the tanks? The way they look, not the rules, the way they look.
The way they look. So many people I know are a bit mixed on the tanks. Some people absolutely hate them. I personally absolutely love them. They are so over the top, which I think kind of represents sort of the religious nature. It's all about symbols. You see some of their models they've got. They've got one that's like a giant marble statue that one of them's holding, which, you know, could flatten someone if it gets swinged about. All these religious, you know, symbolism, and even on the tanks, it's very over the top. But I kind of dig it compared to some of the... Well, I'm a Chaos player, so there's loads of ruinous power, extra stuff on it, except if you're Thousand Suns is a little bit less. So compared to Space Marines that don't have extra bits and things on their rhinos, Adeptus Sororitas has a lot more. They take up to 11, and I dig it. I think it's quite cool.
Okay.
Maybe not practical, but pretty cool.
I know you posed the question to Ross there, but I just want to give my feedback on it as well. As much as I've always liked Adeptus Sororitas and the way they've looked aesthetically over the years, the tanks is actually one of my least favourite things. I think they just look so obnoxious, and I don't know. There's something about what's on top of that tank just looks too much, and it makes the tank.
Kind of style what they're meant to do.
It is their style. It's like giant organs from a church. I get it. It's just to me, it feels like it's making the tank just look completely out of proportion. And it's something I've always struggled to agree with or like, and I think I'm probably in the minority in that point. I think people love the fact they look so ornate, but I struggle with it. I just think it's too much. Shoot me, sorry. I think it's too much.
I suggest we get Ross to try and paint one.
I think we will, yeah.
You'll hear Ross's footsteps now running at high speed out the door.
I've only just started painting and I've done pretty well. I don't know if I can paint. I think they've got a window or something. They've got a.
They have a window. Yes, they've got a window, Ross. Well done.
Oh no, we have to paint the window, tint it.
So that scares me.
Okay, perfect. Right, well, I'm going to just move on to give a little bit of my opinion on something, and this is where I'm kind of hoping we've got some Age of Sigmar players in the chat with us today. Because, as you know, Age of Sigmar does not feature prominently on the channel, so our knowledge of it is incredibly limited, but in particular, unique playstyles or armies are quite limited. So one of the interesting things that I picked up from the sort of updates of Adeptus Sororitas was obviously the faith system, or miracle dice, I think is what they're calling it. And I'm really intrigued about this whole miracle dice piece, because they kind of quote by saying, and I'm going to take an exact quote from the article, I did not write this myself, but they advise anyone who's played with or against disciples of Tzeentch in a game of Warhammer Age of Sigmar will be actually aware of how powerful this kind of mechanic can be. Enemies of the Emperor beware. So what I'm instantly thinking is, I need to know more, and I have never heard of this miracle mechanic in Age of Sigmar or for Disciples of Tzeentch, but to put that quote in there makes me think that it's been play tested, and oh boy, it has a serious impact on the game as a whole, or can be a serious impact, maybe similar to like how Space Marine combat doctrines can make some serious changes to how a game turns. So I'm really interested to know how it works. I can see Duke Servos there saying it stacks dice. I get that, it stacks dice, but is there anything to go with it? If you can, let me know in the chat. Let me know. And for those who are listening to this on the replay, let me know. I really kind of want to know more. I don't want to have to go and buy the Tzeentch book to find out. Alright? So yeah,
basically, you don't want to get into Age of Sigmar too much. It's like, if they're stealing mechanics from it, surely it must be okay.
Yeah, it must be good. It must be good. But the problem is, you know, I'm a massive Tzeentch player, so if I look at it and see why that's good, I might want to buy a Tzeentch army for Age of Sigmar. Anyway, I'm moving on. Can't talk about that all day. But my other opinion so far on what they've released from the whole miracle piece, because I want to kind of focus on that as part of my discussion, is it does kind of resonate and remind me a lot of Khorne Daemonkin. For those who remember, in 7th edition, Khorne Daemonkin was a really fun army, which the more units you either killed or destroyed or characters you killed, you gained blood points, which you would stack up, and you could cash in at any point in the game to do crazy abilities or rules, or alternatively, you could cash them in for new units. Now, I know in 40k that is probably not going to happen for Adeptus Sororitas because of the reinforcement points issue, and also it doesn't sound like a good use of their points. But that's what it reminds me a lot of, is the Khorne Daemonkin aspect, and if that's anything to go by, it has a lot of potential. Let's just hope that it's done right. And I think for Age of Sigmar, they've probably test played it enough, and I can see to skill for cool. No, not Custodes. We're not discussing it today. Ross is banned. You can discuss that with Ross in your own time. But yeah, I hope it can change a game. Louise is saying it can basically flip a game 180. That sounds fun to me. That sounds fun. It's another unique mechanic which can just change it round. Okay.
Oh, Pierce.
What?
You're talking about Custodes.
You talked about it.
Because someone commented about it. I don't want to be ignorant and not respond. Okay, so other than that though, I'm not going to talk too much about the Adeptus Sororitas, mainly because you're all going to get your fill when the pre-orders come out on Saturday, so you'll get to see a lot more about that. So yeah, a lot's to come, exciting, let's kind of see how it goes. Any other finishing points, guys, you want to discuss on it before I move on? Because oh boy, I want to move on to the next topic.
I had something to say there, but I've completely blanked. I've maybe even a comment about if there was any chance you could play Magnus in Age of Sigmar, you'd instantly buy Tzeentch should be there, but that's not going to happen, David. So sad times.
Why couldn't we do Magnus in Age of Sigmar? And don't give me the obvious answer.
Don't give me the obvious answer, because it doesn't say in the box.
Okay, Age of Sigmar is a terrible answer. Yes, if you all remember, Age of Sigmar when it first came out had some crazy rules like talk to yourself in a mirror, try and roll a 13 on 2 dice. Well,
that was very weird.
It was very weird, and I know it's not really followed anymore, but trust me, if I have to petition to make Magnus a usable unit in Age of Sigmar just to prove a point, I'll go there. It will happen. It will happen. Anyway, right, so no final points in. Let's crack on to what is a bit of rumour mill, guys. And this came out fairly recently, just a few hours ago, right? Is that right, Rice? About a few hours ago?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, Rice.
Yes, Rice. Square bases, guys. This is the. Well, I'm really want to talk about this because it's going to be a very passionate discussion. GW posted a really cryptic text, something about square bases. It comes around again.
Everything comes round again, even square bases. This was on the Age of Sigmar.
Yeah.
One.
So I think everyone instantly has jumped to conclusions of what they think that could actually mean. I know myself, I have an opinion. Ross has already shared his with me, and it's totally different. But
oh my words! The amount of comments they've actually got on their Facebook is unbelievable.
I can imagine
might have been their most commented thing they've ever posted.
I think because it could mean so much. Duke, I'm really sorry. I see your comment about Bretonians, but I don't think they're going to get much love from square bases, unfortunately. I apologise. Right, so you know what, Stuart, let's start with yourself. Square bases, what's your thoughts? What does it mean to you?
What does it mean to you?
Okay, right. Openly, man, I never played a lot of classic Warhammer, fantasy Warhammer. I never played a lot. I played it 3 times, and I think it was in your loft, David. I think it was a few times, and I played Skaven. That is I remember it's a very then, but when Age of Sigmar came along,
just to give some context, that's talking way before the channel, guys. So Stuart hasn't really had much experience with fantasy.
Yeah, this is probably 2006, give or take.
Yeah, probably like that. Yeah, but then Age of Sigmar came along, and I played that, and it was weird as anything. And but they changed all the bases to round bases, and like all the models were bigger. So that's when they brought it. Like it was the basically the guys that look like Space Marines. Like they're essential, like the Warhammer version, fantasy Warhammer version of Space Marines.
No one's ever said they look like Space Marines. Only everyone has said they look like Space Marines.
Yes, well, basically that, and like they made it round bases. So I was like, right, so they're trying to make it like War 40k but fantasy style. And I was like, and this is before like 8th edition that came out, because they were doing the Age of Sigmar stuff, and I was like, I can maybe dig it in a sense, but at the same time, like these rules are really too weird. I don't get it. But then when now they're saying that we're going to bring square bases into it. It's like, so what does that mean? Does that mean you're going to put units like all these units now can stack up together like the classic, or does that mean they're bringing out new models where they'll have the square bases and they
can rank and file?
So they can rank and file. But it's new models for like new units that they add to the Age of Sigmar. It's really weird. Like it's like how they're doing it, or as I think Ross, you said to me, is like, or was it just one big base for something different?
It's an interesting point, and it kind of sounds like you're kind of saying they might be taking a step back, maybe a wee bit.
Maybe not a step back. Maybe just kind of like they're trying to do something. Maybe it's just like a lot of people, because there's probably a lot of outcry because of the square bases. Like people miss rank and file that. They're trying to bring it in some way, but hopefully they do it in the right way, not just bring out a whole bunch of square bases and go, all right, there you go, have fun, sort of situation.
Okay.
I don't know. I think it's more of a Brexit ploy. I think it's a code.
Wow. Let's keep politics off the podcast, Stuart.
Keep politics off.
That is you warned. Oh my word. You've got to remember, this podcast this evening, normally we would have. Sorry, Rob, I know you're listening just now. 3 Scottish and an Englishman. There's a joke in there somewhere, but because it's all Scots tonight, no politics. None at all. So, I'm going to probably go into my point and my opinions on it next, just purely because Ross's one is a lot more constructed, and I think he's thought about it a lot more than I certainly have. But, yeah, I think it's a really interesting thing, and before anyone says anything, I think it's a far cry to think that it will be going back to the old fantasy. That's obviously not going to happen. But some of us, like myself, would wish that would happen. I'm going to cut myself off. Someone just made a really good point. Peter Coleman, who's with us today. More time. Now, I never thought of more time and I'm now thinking that could be a good shout. Although I'd struggle to see how Mordheim would fit in the current extra games when you've got Warcry at the moment, which essentially I guess you could say is a modern version of Mordheim. But that's an interesting point. You never know. Maybe they could be going back to Mordheim.
Yeah, Pierce, somebody else put in it, and I've just got to say, Alistair Rust, square bases for guardsmen for rank and file. Yes. Yes.
That would just make Guardsman's Day a lot better.
That's me. I'm okay. I'm good with that. That's it. I just need that.
Make everyone's life a lot better.
Just one giant base, and you just push them all up. So,
I think just to finish my point, so I think I would love for it to go back to fantasy first and foremost, purely because it's a game that I personally loved. I thought it was absolutely incredible, and I preferred it to Age of Sigmar, although my experience with Age of Sigmar is limited. However, I would say it's a far-fetched that's actually going to happen, because it's too much of a step backwards. And I know some people would say, and I know I'm not going to steal this quote, Duke Silver, we were chatting earlier off the channel about this, you kind of thought it could be emitting potential defeat to Age of Sigmar. Or Age of Sigmar, admitting defeat that never landed as well. I would agree. It's not on the cards. Age of Sigmar is something that's thriving at the moment, I'd like to say, and I think they're going to push it even more. So they wouldn't do anything to jeopardise Age of Sigmar's current progression or success. What I truly think it is I just think they're going to just basically give you the option. I know they're very strict in tournament play with Age of Sigmar, that your bases have to all be round in the right sizes, and they're very, very strict on that. I think they're probably just going to see they're going to lapse that, and I think some people would rather have square bases to literally rank and file their Age of Sigmar models. So we're all kind of in the same theme there. Basically, you've got tons of Skaven rats, Skaven slaves. Circular bases do work, but it's quite a pain. Well, there you go, all your square bases, put it on a tile, rank and file up. That's something, it could be far-fetched, but something I think could be on the cards. Those Horde armies in Age of Sigmar, give you square bases, just makes your life a lot easier. Other than that, I'm trying to think logically what it could literally mean, and I can't think of anything beyond that, and I won't go into too much because Ross has a very valid point to come up. But I think square bases is a good call, because some people prefer it, some people don't like putting them on circular bases. The true reason of why they're releasing square bases, I'm still scratching my head, even though I've gave you my opinion. Still scratching my head. I just hope and pray that maybe they'll release Fantasy again and say, hey guys, you can now play both ways. Fantasy, we're going to continue to support it. We've maybe slightly updated the rules to clean up that game, which it did actually need quite a bit. And they'll say, here, you can now play Fantasy, or you can play Age of Sigmar. And they'll probably maybe add in some cool rules where they, like, say the Sigmarines and all those sort of guys can be played in Fantasy. I'd be up for that. I'd definitely buy into the fantasy side of the hobby a lot more than if you had that running alongside it. Let's see. It's definitely not 40k related because it's on the Age of Sigmar page. So yeah. Passing it on to you, Ross, because I think you may have a slightly more constructed theory than I do.
Okay, guys. So, yeah, these square bases, I partly think it's a bit of a troll move in some ways. I think they are, making us think of those square bases, but I think it's going to be something else. One, say what I don't think it is. I don't think they're going back to fantasy in rank and file way. If they did, a way to do it would be, I think Lords of the Rings had, movement trees for circular bases. So if they were going to go down rank and file, there'd be nothing wrong with them just doing movement trees like they did for War of the Ring, but with circular bases. I don't think they need to be square bases for them to work that way. I think the easiest thing would let everyone have their base on it. I think there'd be such an outcry from people having to rebase their stuff again. I think there's already been a huge outcry of people going, please don't rebase. It'd be bad. My thought process is, and I could be very wrong in this, is that they're going to introduce sort of square bases for scenery. So they've invested a lot in 40k, though I don't know so much in Age of Sigmar on scenery. And I think they want to now put sort of defined space of where scenery's area of effect might apply. Now, that might be a bit difficult with various different bases, but it's just so people don't have, there's no ambiguity to it. There's like, this is the area of effect of your scenery, and you need to obviously base it like scenery, but you know when it actually takes an effect to. And that could be because with a lot of our scenery, especially our high-rise buildings, we have a base on it, and we say you take into effect when you land on that base. That counts as it if you're on that base. And I think it just means a lot less ambiguity and stuff. Maybe, but I just don't see. Who knows what they've got planned for 3 o'clock tomorrow? It'll be very interesting. I think. I just think it's either going to be if they go back and go, by the way, guys, change all your circular bases to square. My goodness, the chaos that will ensue. I don't know. I mean,
So-
like, for them to get that many comments is crazy, and I'm sure everyone's watching with bated breath.
What are the, just because you were clearly on it a second ago, what's the comment count at? Do you mind me asking?
It was about 877 last I checked.
Wow.
For Age of Sigmar, that's a lot.
So there's a lot of people really wanting to know. And one of your first points, which I think is quite an important one, you said it could be a troll. Well, we're not in April yet,
I
so...
think it's not going to be what we think. They're not going to be what we think.
Okay.
It's going to be something so different.
I think because they posted the picture of the small square base, it throws us off slightly, doesn't it?
I think
Because-
it's throwing people off so much.
Yeah, the post itself is saying square bases. Doesn't matter what size of square base, but the picture clearly defines the old sort of infantry square base. But your point about terrain could be valid. It could be it, and you're totally right. They're trolling you with that picture to throw you off the scent.
They've done it before.
3 o'clock tomorrow will be very, very interesting. I think I'll definitely be tuning in at 3 o'clock to find out what they say. And if they turn around and say, by the way, Fantasy's back, oh boy, I'm buying myself a bottle of champagne and I'm going to party.
Me too, David. I was a huge fantasy player, but I'm not going to. And also, my wallet will take an absolute beating if that happens. I would be very, very hurt on that one.
I'll just buy a bottle of champagne.
Well, that's your standard Friday night.
Okay, Stuart, happy days. I think it's going to be great no matter what it comes. I think square bases, you're totally right. If they are making you redo all your army again, there will be a public outcry with the hobby fans about having to rebase their armies, seeing as how it's not so well. I would say it's maybe, I think we're saying again 6 months over a year, 2 years. People had to start rebasing their square-based armies. Skaven in particular was a massive one that was actually hit. Having to rebase to circular bases, and tournament players, well, you weren't allowed to bring your army unless you had circular bases. So I can't see them forcing you to rebase your army. It's just going to cause too much discontent. You never know. They might just have a surplus of square bases and they're just like, right, we're releasing square bases again on a cut price deal. Buy your square bases. That
They've
could literally
opened
be
up a
it.
room and it's just filled with square bases, and they're like, "Oh, we've got to shift these guys. We've got to shift them."
It's basically the Scrooge. Was it DuckTales when he dives into the coins and the
Square bases.
You know what? In this day and age, and you've got a surplus of square bases, well, rather than melt them back down and remold them, cost them money, Christmas is coming up. Get some stocking fillers. Here's some square bases for your army. Here's some square bases so you can get that nostalgia feel back. I don't know. Who knows what's going to happen? I think it's one of the best posts they've probably done in a long time because it's been absolutely cryptic. So yeah, 3 o'clock tomorrow, guys, is when you're going to find out more. Please tune in, because oh boy, we're certainly going to be talking about it here on the channel when we find out actually what they're doing. So the final thing to close off, guys, and again, I just want to stop and pause for a second by mentioning that we want to thank everyone who has been very patient in tuning back in after the technical problems that we had earlier on. But I want to actually use the time that we're finishing off just to kind of ask a question to you, the audience, that you can put in the chat, and for those who are listening to the replay version, to put in the comment section below. So at the moment, we did ask last week about Adeptus Sororitas, if you would like to see them on the channel, and there was a few sort of positive vibes that came from that. Some people were quite keen on seeing them as an army in the channel. We want to ask that question again, purely because now that we all know collectively a lot more about what's coming, do you guys want to see this army on the channel? Seriously, is it something you would tune in to see more and more? So put that in the chat, put it in the comments if you want to see Adeptus Sororitas feature on the channel, because if you do, we'll push it, we'll make it happen, because at the end of the day, it's you guys that watch our videos, it's you guys that support the channel, and we'd be really keen to bring you what you want to see. The second question on top of that, Let us know about paint schemes. Do you want to see the classic Adeptus Sororitas, the sort of black and red with a bit of trim? Or do you want to see something different? Maybe all white, maybe red, golden. I don't go golden. I've just said that. I shouldn't have said that. But let us know your schemes. We want to actually make this a sort of unique army on the channel.
I just got the golden comment there, David. That's funny.
I'm glad you got it. Some people may not have got it, but not golden. Oh, too school for cool. Yeah, you had to be there with a comment. I'm not even going to read that comment out because it means you're just winning. That's why, and I can't allow that. No, I'm kidding on. And then the final question, I do promise, guys, and this is actually probably the most important of all, is we've been chucking around this idea on the channel for some time, and it's something which it'd be a long-term project, so not something that's going to come straight away. But what would your thoughts be on a sort of channel dedicated army? So themed in the channel sort of colours, which is obviously or red or black or white or gold or fire. I just said gold again. And obviously the sort of channel colours, would you want to see a channel themed army, a dedicated tabletop assault army? And I think most people are going to say Space Marines, but what faction would you actually want that army to be? It's a project I think we would like to work on. I'm not going to look at the chat. It's a comment I'd like to work on as a channel over time. But yeah, let us know, guys. Okay? So put that in the comments and put that in the chat. On that note, because obviously Too School for Cool is destroying me here, and I think he's going to get what he wants eventually here. Guys, we're going to probably wrap it up here. And no, I will not play Custodes, because that's Ross's thing. Not going to happen. I think I'm beginning to hate that army slowly but surely. They're on a par now with Ultramarines for me. They're getting there. They're definitely getting there. And for those who don't know, I can't stand Ultramarines.
Just so they know, there's a very good battle report coming out with them soon. You'll love it.
With Adeptus Custodes?
Yeah, but I won't say which one.
Yeah, keep it secret. We don't want to give too many spoilers away. So yeah, guys, I'd kind of want to wrap up here and just thank everyone for tuning in and listening today. More importantly, though, for those who stayed on after the technical problems, I just want to also explain, there's a link down below to our Patreon page for those who want to support the channel and actually help us produce more content like this. We kind of want to bring you guys what you want, and we can't do this without your support. So thanks very much, everyone who's tuned, everyone who's listened. I want to end this so I don't have to talk about Custodes anymore. But guys, we hope to join you again in one of our Tabletop Assault Battle Reports. See you later, guys.